Work is this romantic notion. It stands on its own 2 feet as a romantic notion, regardless of whether one achieves something or not. So long as he has worked hard, he is given respect, he is given regard, he is given the seal of approval by society. It is one thing to receive the seal of approval from society, but it is something else to be in line with the truth. At the end of the day, whether one is involved in a competition or whether one is involved in any game or business or whatever it may be, how hard one worked is not one of the things that one is judged upon, whatever it may be. However, in the court of public opinion, it is considered one of the central factors of judgment. In fact, one uses hard work as a scapegoat. One logs the number of hours, one counts the amount of perspiration. All of these things. This has become a normal human behavior. Hard work has long ago entered the bloodstream of the human being. It is in the water. What is the truth? The truth is, at the end of the day, it is all about results. At the end of the day, it's all that matters. For the individual who is sincere, for the individual who is serious, the one who genuinely wants to achieve something, it is all about the result. It does not matter how hard he worked to get there. It has absolutely no relevance. Now, the insincere view things from the standpoint of black and white. This is the game they play. Therefore, if it is stated that hard work is a myth, and that does not matter, the insincere, the comment, and the scapegoat and the poster of the insincere will read, well, am I supposed to get results by lying on the couch? The insincere man can see nothing in the middle between, in this particular case, hard work or lying on the couch. Therefore, if you say that hard work is a myth, the insincere person who wishes to play games, he will automatically go to the other side and say, well, if it isn't hard work, then it must be lying on the couch. Because he isn't interested in the truth. He is simply interested in playing games and hiding behind the principles so that he can wave his flags and uphold his banners and hide firmly behind societal tenets because he believes them to be real. And at all costs, he will wave the flag. Therefore, he will use any and every circumstance and excuse in order to prolong and perpetuate the idea that hard work is important. After all, if I don't work hard, and if I lie on the couch, am I going to become successful? That is his tool, is to go to the opposite extreme in order to get that point across. Of course, the sincere person, the honest person, the genuine person, the serious person, the person who truly wants to get somewhere in whatever thing they are searching for, that person will want to know what the truth is. Because after all, if they value something which does not lead them anywhere, then the valuing of that thing has a price. It has cost them an enormous amount of time. And that's the greatest commodity, because one can never recreate time. One can make more money, but one cannot recreate time. One cannot get more time. Therefore, the serious person is always interested in how to stop wasting time, and the serious person will pay millions upon millions in order to stop wasting time because he knows that the millions can be replenished. But not a single minute of his life, not a single second of his life can be replenished. Therefore, time is unforgiving. Time is uncompromising. Money is fluid. Money is fluid, and money can be in flux. Time is never in flux. Time goes one way. It goes out and never comes back in. Therefore, if one is seeking to achieve something, at the end of the day, all that matters is whether they achieved it or not. There is no consolation prize as to how hard they worked. That is instituted because the person understands that he or she lives in a society in which there is a badge given to a hard worker, regardless of whether he achieved anything or not. And it isn't a good or a bad thing to achieve something. It isn't a good or a bad thing to work hard. There's no judgment placed upon these things. It only matters if one achieves their goal. For the serious individual, for the sincere individual, for the individual who genuinely wants to get somewhere in whatever field, whether it is in life or whether it's in business or sport or art or whatever it may be for them, that it really means something to get there. Because if they don't get there but they worked hard, the serious person won't care. That's a failure. And while failure isn't a judgment, there's no negativity behind that. It is simply a fact that the person did not get what they truly wanted. And because they truly wanted it, then that absolutely is tragic for them. And the consolation of having worked hard actually hurts double as much. Because if they didn't do anything, if they did, quote, lay on the couch, as the insincere person likes to hide behind, and they didn't succeed, that actually could be justified. And they could say, well, I didn't succeed because I laid on the couch. Therefore, that's easier to stomach. But to work hard and to fail, that's very difficult. Therefore, one turns the hard work into its own goal. Say, well, at least I work hard. At least I didn't slouch. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether one slouched or worked hard. It doesn't matter if one slouched and got himself there. All that matters is the result for the individual who truly wants to get there, of course. Therefore, the individual who seeks truth is the individual who is starkly willing to examine all of the things that have been pushed into them, all of the sacred cows, to see if they are truly sacred or not. Not if society considers them sacred, but are they genuinely sacred in nature? Because nature doesn't work hard. The cloud doesn't work hard to move across the sky, and the rain doesn't work hard to fall, and the tree doesn't work hard to grow. Hard work is a total myth. One can work hard if one wishes, but it has no significance. And therefore, one will naturally ask, well, don't I have to work hard to succeed? In order to answer that question, he must look into himself and look into his own experiences. Not take my word for it. Just look at his own experiences, and he will see that in any endeavor, in any domain, the number of people who have worked hard and failed in that domain are by the hundreds of thousands, if not millions. So if hard work truly got someone somewhere, then all of those who worked hard would get somewhere. If it gives you some relief, very well. 90% would have got somewhere. If you'd like some more relief, very well. 80% of those who worked hard would have got somewhere. If you'd like even more relief, very well. 50% of those who would have worked hard would have got there. We don't see that. What is the evidence? It's not what you think. It's not what I think. It is not my belief. It is not your belief. It isn't society's belief. It's only the facts. Those who become elite, those who get results, are very, very few in any domain. They are not by any means, by any majority, by any stretch of the imagination, the majority. They are not only in the minority, they are in the overwhelming and extreme minority. And the fact is, many, if not most people, do work hard. Most people are, quote, conscientious people who try to do the right thing, who try to work hard, who try not to be lazy, try to do what is right to put food on the table, try to do what is right for their family, who go to work and they do all of these things and they toil and they listen to their boss and they, whatever they may do. But the vast majority of people are also struggling in every way. Therefore, in the talks that I give, it is never about listening to me and taking what I say and put it into your pocket. It really is a stark examination of your own experiences, to look into things, to examine, are the things that you believe genuinely true? And that isn't a good thing to do. It is just that if one is following something that is not true, that isn't a bad thing. It just has an enormous cost. And no human being wishes to suffer. No human being wishes to pay a price for which they didn't have to pay the price. No one. Therefore, if one realizes that to follow the path of something that is not true is going to cost them in a major way, then it doesn't take a genius to understand that that is necessary for them. Not because it's good, but because they don't want to suffer. They don't want to pay. They don't want to have a cost for something. Particularly, and the cost is always time. It's always money, yes, but it's time is more because the time is absolutely invaluable. Can't get it back. So the human being who is true will begin to divorce himself from principles. He will begin to divorce himself from societal jargon. Not because it is good to do so, but because he is genuinely interested in lessening his suffering and increasing his or her joy.
I was just thinking about what you were saying in a clip that I was recalling of, because I know in your bio it says Arthur's Merlin, and I saw this clip of this young boy who had been asked by his father to do just like a ton of dishes that he hadn't contributed to. And this is a YouTube video I saw. And halfway through his effort to do the dishes, this man comes in, and I think it was Merlin who intervenes and says this incantation that makes the dishes clean themselves. And so he just totally shortcuts with the archetypal patriarchal male, the job that he gives to this kid. And I'm just wondering, do you think that if magic is involved, if there's an intervention in the daily grind of work, for those that don't have the choice when their uncle is telling them to do it or their father's telling them to do it, is there some kind of recourse for that if people use magic? Like, do you have an issue with that? Or?
I don't have an issue with anything. There's no wrong or right. If one wishes to accomplish something through a means of magic or whatever it may be that lessens their toil for no reason, then so be it.
May I ask a follow-up?
Okay.
I mean, like, what if this kid is Arthur, and he's destined to use his archetypal role to pull the sword from the stone. But there's an artificial intervention prematurely by Merlin. Is that fair to who Arthur could be, or is it a helping hand from a friend? And also, I mean, like the talking owl. Can you explain that?
No, I don't. I'm not here to talk about Arthur and Merlin. If you have a specific question about something tangible, I don't. I'm not an expert on all the historical stories.
I guess I think, I mean, for me, magic is tangible, but I understand if you don't recall that moment where you helped him with dishes. It's fine. I'll go back to the audience.
Often we see wealth being created not as a result of people perhaps perfecting their craft necessarily. Is it possible to then experience truth without wealth being generated as a byproduct? Or how does one think through that aspect? Thank you.
Well, I don't think that one has to master their craft. There's no rules on anything. Like, nothing is good. If you wish to master your craft, you may master a craft that has no one interested in it. Therefore, it will not create wealth. So wealth itself, there's a specific path to get it. There's no idealism. There's no, well, you shouldn't be wealthy because you didn't master your craft. So I'm not sure I understand the question beyond that.
Thank you. I was just wondering that, in the path to truth and a lot of stuff perhaps in terms of wealth creation may or may not resonate. And in that sense, could it be a struggle in terms of, the daily struggle of just making money and having to compromise on what you might truly believe in? And some of that.
I think everyone struggles with that battle. I don't think anyone's really looking for truth, even though in some sense everyone is, but in an ultimate sense. But in a practical sense, they are not. So I think everyone is wasting their time, not because they want to, but because I think every human being is so filled and conditioned with principles that they live their life in order to satisfy societal principles. They don't live their life in order to get something tangible. Everyone is seeking scapegoats. Everyone is seeking a consolation prize. The real thing that they're looking for, no one ever gets, because there are so many consolation prizes that society values that those actually become the goal for almost everybody.
Hello, couple.
Hello.
Hi, couple. I have a question about something that's been bothering me for quite some time now, especially since coming across your work. I have valued something that has actually cost me a tremendous amount of time in my life. I grew up in a household in India where there was a strong influence of things like palmistry and fortune telling. And as a young kid, I didn't really know any better. I was told that I could do certain things and I could be such and such things, and that there was a limit on certain abilities. Intellectually, I know that these things are a sham, but in the heart of my hearts, I haven't understood the truth behind them. What would you say is the truth behind these things?
I can't speak authoritatively about those things. I mean, there are people who are very knowledgeable about such things, and they are able to tell truth based upon them. I don't know enough about it to speak with any kind of authority upon it.
Yeah, so we talked about hard work. So how one will be able to differentiate if they are working hard or they are genuinely seeking truth. If we read the Buddha, like he went years and years searching for truth, door to door, and then finally he struck where he could discover truth. Well, before reaching the truth, all the years he spent but how one would be able to differentiate? There was like genuine desire or there
Well,
was
but before Buddha reached the truth, he didn't spend years preparing for the truth. He spent years working hard. And that hard work got him nowhere. Because when Buddha first went to the forest, he listened to the ascetics who told him to meditate for X number of hours a day and to drink his own urine and eat 1 grain of rice and whatever it may be. And he just became emaciated on the verge of death. He didn't reach anything. So all the hard work that the ascetics were doing for years and years, they just pushed that on him, and he got nowhere just like they got nowhere. So the Buddha is a wonderful story of the futility of hard work.
Hey, Dr. Cooper, good evening.
Yeah, so
to master a craft or just to get really good at it or good at it, say golf, for instance, right? The best they practice. And we kind of often describe that as putting in the work. And so I guess my question is practice work, or when does...
Yeah, it's a good question. I've written quite a bit about practice. The thing, what you have to understand, the thing that you have to separate the truth from a scam. And it is believed that when you put in the work, that all that work that you put in was necessary. There is a belief. It is because of the chronology of events and the temporal relation, the ostensible temporal relation between the so-called work and the achievement, that all the work that was done prior led to the achievement. That isn't true. The vast majority of work that is done by every athlete and businessman is worthless. The amount of work, the quote work that they did that actually led to the success was a very specific amount, and a very specific nature and quality. The rest was all superfluous. Every professional athlete and every businessman and every leader, so-called leader, and every artist spends years and years doing the things that their culture says to do. And they just go in circles. So there is not a cumulative effect of all that work. There is absolutely an accumulation of skill that takes place from having done specific qualitative things that was directly responsible for the result that they may have achieved. But the image from the outside is that in total, all that they did was worthwhile and valuable, and that led to the success, and that simply isn't true. And nobody will tell you that. First of all, everyone has a score to settle. Everyone is on a sacred cow. Everyone's riding a sacred cow. Everyone's writing books about how you should work hard, and because that's the angle, there's not a book out there that doesn't have an angle to convince you of, and that's society's angle, that you must work hard. So they're going to dress it up to say, see, he worked for 25 years. Most of those years were just lost in nonsense.
Hey, Kabul, how's it going?
Good.
So I'm trying to just wrap my head around this concept of work, right? So there are activities that one can perform during the day that will move them closer to whatever result it is that they're trying to achieve. But that stuff doesn't feel like work. But when I have to go upstairs and wash the dishes and do the vacuuming and stuff like that, those activities kind of pull me away from whatever goal it is I'm trying to achieve. Is that how we're defining work?
There's no definition of anything. Whatever gets through in your own way. You must filter it through yourself. There's no, I'm trying to convince you of an idea over here. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I just release the truth, and however you process it, you do. So even the things that you do in your own craft, the majority of it is nonsense anyways. A few things that you might do might be helpful, but if you believe in the concept of a cumulative effort of hard work as leading to successes. It doesn't.
Hi, Siddha. Thank you for your time.
Hmm?
As human beings, will we ever be in a society where the sincere and serious are not the vast minority?
No, that's never going to happen. Because if that was the case, then society would never have been created. The very fact that there's a society means that it is built by the insincere for the insincere.
Hello, Kapil.
Hello.
I had one question related to 2 or 3 questions that came up. One is we were talking about the Buddha, and I always had this belief that years and years of penance actually led to his enlightenment, and it did not come as just a momentary revelation. So I'm still struggling with that idea, I guess, but it does resonate with me. What I wanted to ask you was, there are moments in my life when fleeting glimpses, when things are effortless, when, so to say, I go into this flow state, and I appreciate.
Don't chase those. Don't chase those. Those won't take you anywhere. Okay.
But basically, I'm convinced that experientially I can function at maximal efficiency without putting in the effort. So it's not an intellectual understanding. I have experientially felt it, and I'm convinced it. And I know now you're saying don't chase it, but what role does discipline play? Do I not forcing, but wanting to wake up early, does that have any merit towards doing this, or how can I differentiate?
Those things, all those morning routines and all those things, if one develops their own system, that's fine. But those are more principles. These are more shoulds and should nots because they sound nice. And the very fact is that virtually all the things that sound nice lead nowhere. They just get you a pat on the back and a sticker on the bumper of your car. They don't really lead anywhere. So that's just another one.
Hello, Siddha.
Hello.
Did you work in order to obtain the title Siddha?
No.
Hey, Kapil, thanks for letting me up. Just a question. I was just going to ask, if an individual does not work hard and he's not actively working hard for anything in his life, is he guaranteed to arrive somewhere in life, or is he guaranteed a side effect of performance?
But why would he? Well, it depends. Why is he not working hard?
Like, when I say he's not working hard, I mean, like, life is effortless. Like, anything I do, I'm not actively thinking of it. I just do as I do. Like, I'm not trying to change my habits or trying to change something.
And so that becomes your hard work then. Because what you're asking is, if I do this non-effort filled thing, will that get me to my goal?
But say that's my craft, for example.
Well, if it is, it is. But if you're trying to get to a goal and then you're looking for a method, no matter how spiritual sounding, in fact, the more spiritual sounding the method is, the less effective it's going to be. So there's no, if you do this, then you'll get that. That's a myth. That's a total myth.
Hello.
Hello.
If I am interested in developing a direction that makes me engaged in life, and I don't know if that will make me money, do I pursue them separately, or how would I organize my mind to pursue them?
That doesn't go anywhere. There's no how do you organize your mind. There's no that you should pursue this one and then this one. These are all come from you. There's no right answer to those things.
My question is on work and the importance of. So I'm taking a second to frame it. How important do you think is truth as a navigational system in work, in terms of work?
As opposed to what?
Anything that's not true in that sense?
Basically what you're saying is how important are lies in the navigation system of anything.
That's like, I mean, the way I look at it is heat transfer, right? Like the only reason why it's cold, a room is cold, is because heat has transferred. But yeah, I guess in a way you could look at it like that.
Well, if something is not true, how could it in any way be beneficial to you?
Listening to you, I felt.
Hi, Kapil. Just a quick question. I'm at a stage in life where I'm unraveling my conditioning, and sales has been a big, let's say, monkey on my back. I'm always scared to sell because I've just been a person who's been conditioned to think if you sell something, you're screwing someone over. I know there's no how-to, but in terms of with the intention to see it as a thing to become more holistic, as in slaying the dragon, how would you approach that? What advice would you give to a young guy?
You're crippled by principles. You're crippled by societal doctrine. It has choked you in your career.
Hello.
Hello.
So I'm trying to understand what you're saying, and the point that I have that is a little bit sticky for me is, suppose that there's a young student who wants to be a scientist, say, because that's my field, and if I understand your claim correctly, the myth of work is that the idea that you have to work hard to achieve your goal is wrong. Is that correct? Am I stating correctly?
No. Number one, there is no wrong. There is nothing that I'm putting out here to convince you of, and that this is what you should believe. Okay. So whatever is going to percolate within you, whatever resonates does, and whatever does not, does not. There's no you should believe this and you shouldn't believe that. This is the idea that you should. There's nothing to do with that. Okay. This is just the truth. And nothing is wrong. The point.
Okay, by wrong, I meant incorrect.
Okay. Well, the incorrectness lies in the fact that if you work hard, you will succeed. That is incorrect.
Oh,
that does not mean that if you lie on a sofa, you will succeed. It does not mean that. Okay. It just means that hard work is absolutely irrelevant. That if you succeed, might you have done things that others would construe, and maybe even yourself, as hard work? Sure. But the person who is interested in succeeding never even looks at that. And quite honestly, there are many who succeed who do far less hard work than those who don't.
Okay, so then I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify. So you're saying that work, or whatever it is that you're doing, the practice or work or whatever, is a necessary but not sufficient condition, and not the amount of it, but just some amount. I mean, it's impossible to become a scientist who discovers new things about the world without putting in a lot of time to, first of all, learn what is already known, and then go on and explore a lot of things. But
the amount of time that they have put in will carry no relevance for them.
But they can't do it with no time. They can't do it with no time.
But they wouldn't be interested in doing it with no time. Their interest is totally in the result, with no badges of having worked hard. They view hard work. The sincere person, the serious individual who truly wants to get somewhere, views hard work as used second chewed bubble gum on the ground.
Siddha.
Yes.
I am here, and I can breathe, I can feel, and I experience things. This is my answer. What is the question?
Those philosophies don't work here. This is not a clever. You have something sincere to ask, you can.
I do.
Go ahead.
If that was difficult, then I'll rephrase it.
It wasn't difficult, it was irrelevant.
As you say.
I'm not interested in playing games.
Nor am I.
Okay. If you have a direct question, go ahead and ask it.
Mm-hmm. The joy of what I do seems like work to others. And yet the hours go by, the sun rises and it sets again. And as I go to bed at night, my mind is filled with things that I've done and things I'd like to do. Is this still work?
I don't define what work is. I don't say this is work, and that's for you to define what that really means. It is about understanding, if one wishes to do so, the essence behind what I say, as opposed to turning it into some definitional thing and saying, well, is this that or is that that? You are smart enough to know what I'm trying to say. Not that you should imbibe it in any way. It is about looking at the essence, not looking at the word and saying, will that apply to what I am doing or not?
Hello, doctor.
Hello.
So my question was related to, I think, one of the podcasts you've done, I think quite a while ago, with Naval about hard work. And you said hard work and all the things that society tries to chase, like hard work and routine and discipline and like all of these nonsense, they have to come as a side effect with devotion and when one has no other choice. I'm just curious if you could just expand a little bit more on that. Like, what do you really mean by devotion and that as a side effect that, naturally has to come with it, and one doesn't necessarily have to actively go for it, but it comes for or...
So it seems like you already understand. What did you not understand?
Well, I just wanted to understand, like, how can one know if one is truly sincere or devoted, or if the thing that one is trying to do is just another pleasure chase or like addiction?
Well, if you are worried about whether you're sincere or not, that itself is a chase.
Hi, Kapil.
Hello.
So if I heard it correctly, it said time cannot be recreated. So the sincere person must be acutely aware of it. So does such a person optimize, for lack of a better word, the process of examining all the sacred cows?
If they choose to. I mean, if one is sincere, the result matters more to them than any kind of, quote, work. Not that they wouldn't do the work, but there wouldn't be any need to pat oneself on the back for having worked hard. Not that that's a bad or a good thing. It's just irrelevant.
Right. What about the fact that they spend a lot of time working through the, all the sacred cows, and wouldn't they want to kind of cut short the process?
Well, if they were to cut short of anything, the cutting short would be to eliminate the beliefs that they have that they inculcated from society that aren't true.
So regarding work, would it be apt to say that attributing the same amount of relevance to hard work as luck is apt? Because in that, like, we don't really account for luck when we're working towards outcomes, but they just take their own natural course.
But people don't pursue luck. They pursue hard work intentionally. If luck comes, it comes, or if it doesn't come, it doesn't come. But no one pursues the luck. But the hard work, they do get a badge for that.
Hello. Hi, Siddha.
Hello.
My question is, in some of your previous work, you had mentioned there is no right path. Isn't trying to imbibe that right path an option for doing lesser hard work?
No, that's not right. That's not right. It's if one can achieve the same result by doing less work, that's effective, that's efficient. But if one chooses to do triple the amount of work and get even less, that's not wrong. There's no wrong.
And what is the role of, I mean, if someone has gone through the same path and you saw that they have achieved it in an optimal time, and you're trying to recreate, which is in a way kind of a prescription, or
yeah, it is absolutely a prescription. That doesn't work. Recreating what someone else does is a myth. It doesn't work.
Hi there. Thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you distinguish between hard work and practice? And if they're the same, would you say that practice is a myth?
Yes.
I want to ask you how we can understand the difference to be devoted to express his craft and being chasing the output of his craft.
Well, the devotion is sincere, and that isn't because someone says it's sincere, but one can feel it inside them if it's something that they're truly devoted to versus they're chasing a particular pleasure of the outcome.
Hi, so I have a question about surrender. It's kind of the opposite of work, and you have a discourse called Life Can Only Be Experienced Through Surrender. What exactly, like, even though I read the words of the discourse,
I have no idea what I wrote.
Well, it's basically just about how, certain examples that you've put out there, how life can only be experienced through surrender. And in contrast to that, you had a tweet about how hard work doesn't matter, but the results only matter. So is it more so just like, I'm just sort of new to the idea of arriving somewhere, without gaining anything. And so is there something you usually tell people when they're kind of just wrapping their head around that?
No, I don't really tell anybody anything about it. I mean, it's whatever you happen to understand or don't understand. But there's a conflation going on between surrender and hard work over here, which I think is awkward. It's an awkward association. I'm not even sure what the question is, and I'm not even recommending that anyone surrender.
Dao, listening to you speak and analyzing my own situations, because I've been doing work that I've been very proud of the results, and I've been like the results of the work itself, which is for a company, and I've been waiting for the results on a personal level, and I've been leapfrogged in a sense, and they've brought in supervisors and just things that have made me feel doubt in whether my love for the work and my devotion to the work was sincere. If something as simple as ego can kind of lead
ego
to
ego isn't a simple thing. There's no something as simple as ego.
Difficult. So can the devotion be sincere if ego makes me basically not even want to do the work, even though it's something I care for and am passionate about?
That isn't a question. You're asking a question of me making a judgment and a decision. And I'm not in that place to do so, nor do I want to be. It is not you weren't sincere enough, because if you were sincere enough, then the ego wouldn't have. That's not true. Maybe you were and maybe you weren't. But the idea of invoking ego as the reason for insincerity, well, then according to that, then there's not even been a sincere human being in history, because ego is a whole deeper foundational matter.
Hello, Dr. Gupta. I just wanted to know if people pursue work as their persona, and is it a form of distraction that people just own to themselves? Is their thing as real work at all?
Work is a myth in that one values the work more than the result. So, but there's no such thing as this is good work and that's bad work. There's no judgment. There's just the difference between work and results.
I had a question. So how would you draw the line between being productive and just making like just working hard for the sake of working hard? How do you do
Well, I don't think being productive is anything different than working hard for the sake of working hard. I don't think productivity has any meaning.
So is it not an important thing to focus on in an attempt to be more productive? Is that not something?
No, nothing is important, but you don't need to listen to me. And I think you're very new here, therefore you don't understand some of the truths that have been discussed over the years. Nothing is important. There's no productivity. Productivity is the same thing as hard work. It has no meaning.
Hello, thanks for having me. I just wanted to know only if you achieve results, does it mean that you've done quality work and rest is just hard work? Because there are athletes, Olympic athletes, who are pretty much on the same level. So does that mean the guy who came first is the only one who did quality work and the rest just did hard work?
That's a good question. It could be. It could be. But then again, I mean, if you look at the Olympics, it's based upon a single moment in time. And that single moment in time, there may have been something qualitatively that individual might have done that contributed to that single moment in time where they inched across the finish line versus the other person. But it could have just been that their toe hurt less that day than the other person. There's the Olympics. There's so many variables that when you inch past someone in a very brief millisecond, I mean, if you win by a mile, it's one thing. But if you inch past someone and they get, a 0.1 rating higher than you, I don't think that can be easily ascribed to any kind of qualitative work necessarily, unless you see some form of consistency across the board where they are superior to, in their performance to other people.
Hey Siddharth, thanks for having me. I actually resonate with a lot of what you said. I have a very close example of what you have been explaining in this room. And after giving that example, I just have a question. I wouldn't take long. So one example of what you have been saying is that the hard work is met. That definitely I agree, because I study a lot of mixed martial artists, and one of the very best fighters that I analyze his work has not been sparring for a while, because he has sparred a lot in his previous fights, but for most of the grandeur fights that he had in the past, he did not spar. He felt that he knows how to spar, he knows how to throw a punch. He felt that sparring is not necessary for him, and then that actually fetched him results, because he is not getting hit in the head while he was in the gym. Because sparring he thought was useless, because he actually knows how to throw a punch. So a lot of the words that you were saying about people following certain steps and certain things to achieve the greatest things in their life that actually don't matter, because they have been following a certain set of principles and how do's and stuff like that. So that was one of my closest examples that I could resonate with what you have been saying. And one thing I wanted to ask you to follow up to that is path to the truth is non-linear, because that I have observed with a lot of athletes and a lot of other people. It's absolutely non-linear from my observation. It is not linear. There are no steps like you have to do this, you have to do that. People who actually achieve exemplary heights, they don't come from a certain path. They don't know how to do
Not
this.
Not only is it non-linear, it is non-prescriptive.
Where does the craving for a pat on the head from society come from?
Society.
Can work be found anywhere in nature?
I don't think so.
What instances could prescription be useful? Any specific cases where it's actually useful?
Well, why do you care about that?
Why do I care about that? It seems like if everything is non-prescriptive, any progress is non-prescriptive, then the observations that we all share of certain prescriptions of, let's say, how to do something, or build a small home, or these are all processes and steps, and there are certain prescriptions to these things which have a practical importance. It's the observation of that. It seems like prescriptions are useful for those mechanical things, at least. Isn't that the case?
But who cares? Why are you interested? Why would someone be interested in the useful utility of mud? Who cares? Yes, you can use prescriptions for mechanical things, turning the computer on, opening a doorknob, hammering a nail, whatever it may be. But who cares? Why would you waste even a second of your life on that instead of spending your life on to see how is it that prescriptions is ruining my life and is taking me away from what I truly want? You just wasted 4 seconds of your life and mine.
Let's say humans are the only ones who have been working hard and the rest of the nature is not, but humans are part of the nature, and probably that is why we have progressed or made new inventions. So there are some pros. Would you say that, or that is not the case?
This is just another same vein as the last question. Who cares? I don't understand the mentality behind trying to justify something meager. It must be clearly understood that to bring up questions that relate to, well, isn't this work and isn't work good over here and isn't it good to have a prescription over here? There's nothing wrong. If you believe that, that's fine. If that's the path that you want to take, there's no wrong or right. But I have no interest in discussing things that are ineffective and find ways to employ them and justify them for those tiny little irrelevant things for which they may be effective.
Hello. Thank you for this conversation. So something that's being revealed to me is work is a myth, and something that's been opening up, but I'm still, I guess, clarifying is that then is progress also a myth?
Yes.
Regarding work and the question that was just asked about progress, can you speak to the 7 Hermetic principles and how it may relate?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Hey, couple.
Hello.
Hey, if I want to achieve or get these results in 6 months, what would normally take, let's say, 10 years in my field of work. So I've done some examination, and what I realized is that I have to be extremely almost surgical and kind of very narrow in my approach to certain things. Again, I work in business. So my question to you is, have you seen this kind of, I almost feel like I have to basically eliminate 99 things and do one thing and then move on to the next one. It has worked for me. I wouldn't say, been able to get that kind of result. Like, it's definitely been accelerated, but I was just curious to hear your perspective on this.
Well, if you have a specific question, you can ask it. Perspective is too broad.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
You've worked with athletes and CEOs. Fear is a large component in decisions people make, especially people, whether they are athletes or making decisions for entire companies. So how do you speak to fear to them? How do you coach fear?
I don't coach fear. I don't coach them on anything.
Oh, okay. Well, what is your understanding of fear and how it relates to human nature and decisions we make?
You ask 2 open-ended questions. You're not. You're asking a question that will not do anything for anyone. It is, unless you come with a specific question that is like at the juncture of something or at the crossroads of something, a broad sweeping question, it doesn't really go anywhere. I could say X, Y, and Z, and that's not going to do anything for you. It's irrelevant. It's just academic.
Okay, so I'll ask something. I'll ask it in the context of it personal to you. So if there's something in your life, in your personal life, where there may be a fear-based decision.
Let me ask you, why are you asking this question?
I'm asking to get your opinion.
Why? Why do you care? Why do you care? What relevance is this to your immediate life?
I like to learn from other people. I teach fear management. I've been doing it my whole life. And if someone else who has interesting perspectives, I like to hear them. What's the purpose of
There's not a single thing that I can tell you that would in any way satisfy a person who teaches fear management. Now, if what I told you as the absolute truth would cause you to close your shop of fear management and to consider that a complete misnomer and has no relevance whatsoever, then I'd be willing to answer your question. But that isn't going to happen because you're fully vested in the idea of fear management.
How do you know what I'm invested in or not? So
because you just said you teach fear management.
That
right?
doesn't mean I'm fully invested in it. There's a lot of things that I do. So
hang on. This is not going to go anywhere. Based upon your first question, you mark yourself as an intellectual. You're curious. That isn't wrong or right. That isn't bad. There's nothing bad or good about this. There's no judgment. It is just that those who are curious, those who are intellectuals, who are here for knowledge, don't go anywhere. It isn't visceral.
Hello. So I have a question. After realizing truth, what does one do if not work?
Well, have you realized truth?
I mean, I don't know.
Well, when you know, then the question becomes relevant. If not, just window shopping.
If the folks who are seeking knowledge aren't going to find it, then what are we here to learn? I was just wondering, is it imagination?
No, it must first be understood that there's nothing wrong with anything. If one is curious and is seeking knowledge, nothing wrong with that. But truth is not knowledge. And truth does not need to be sought if you don't wish to seek it. But today's world is full of intellectuals who wish to fill their brain with accumulations of knowledge, which they can write about in books and talk about in classrooms and discuss at cocktail parties. That is not transformational. Therefore, it's not worth my time.
I just was hoping you might be able to add an insight on something I've observed in myself.
Hi, Doctor. Thank you for having me, and apologies if you've already covered this.
Sure.
You mentioned that it's results that are important. And so right now I'm in a job where I'm achieving results, but I'm also thinking about looking for a different job that's more challenging. So should I be content and focused on?
Well, but hang on.
Sorry.
This is a conflation of what I'm saying. It is not that I'm telling you that you should view results as more important, and that if you are getting results, then you shouldn't go anywhere else. The results are not results, just results. Results mean the result that you want. So if you're getting the result of bad hair, you're getting results, or good hair. But let's say you get results of good hair, you have good clean hair, but you don't really care about your hair, then it's irrelevant. So it isn't results to satisfy the world, and it isn't getting results just to have results. Results mean the thing that you particularly want. And so you could be getting all kinds of results according to what the world would call results. But if they don't have any significance for you, then it's irrelevant. It's just, it has no meaning.
Thank you. That's so helpful.
Sure.
For taking me again. I want to ask you if there is only one truth, or anyone has his own truth if he is purely and sincerely looking for that.
Every single situation, every single circumstance, every single thing has a truth.
Is the idea of a singular focus just another prescription?
if you view it as something that you should be doing just because it's a good construct to follow and you like the notion of it, anything is a prescription if you view it from the standpoint that it's something that you should be doing, as opposed and that if you follow the steps of it, then that'll get you to where you want to go. And in any sense, anything that you view from that angle is a prescription, and it causes the floor to fall out from underneath you.
So if it was a consequence of a more organic discovery, then great. But as I try to top down, push it on, which is what I've been doing and suffering from it, I can.
Yeah, everyone does. There isn't a single human being in society, and not even the high-minded spiritualist, who does not believe in anything but prescriptions. Every human being is taught prescriptions. That notion exists nowhere in society. In fact, if you tell someone there is no how, they don't say anything because they don't know where to begin.
I've been pursuing hows for 15 years. So
every human being has.
After stumbling upon truth, there's some old remnants, lingering old structures, and they impact my ability to give myself permission that it's okay to waste time. But there's an oscillation between, let's say, being okay in that point in time and then kind of going back to the conventional,
there's nothing that you can do to correct that. That's where you're going with this.
So are you saying that after realizing truth, the oscillation is natural? It's okay?
As one realizes truth, he realizes the truth is always in the direction that is away from what to do or how to do it.
So in regards to that, is there a point where that will stop, in the sense that you've completely optimized the very fact, you've actualized it?
Well, the very fact that you are trying to optimize or actualize is in itself a chase. You need to really, not that you should, but if you are seeking truth, you need to really abandon all of the intellectual jargon and conditioning that you have picked up from all the books that you have read.
Previously on things that I've worked on, I found that this sort of how other people think about status of different achievements was very far off. And I think, in fact, looking back at it, I should be grateful, because it convinced me that, what other people are able to perceive is immaterial. It's not truth. And so now there's an object that I wish to build. And within initially I thought this is a thing that could be very useful in the world. It could be this great achievement, blah, blah, blah. But there is a possibility where the object could exist, but be entirely useless. And it made me think of a thing that you said about art, and an art piece that it doesn't matter if anyone buys it. It's for the thing to exist. And I realized, even if it's irrelevant, I still want to build it. And it's almost as if I don't care whether it becomes a massive thing in the world, or if it's just a thing that it exists. And with a single object, that is a thing that is finite. And there's just that end to it, and it's that. And I'm thinking that anything that's a company, even if it's some great thing, it's like you said of work, only a single person does any work. The company, it's an illusion. It's what other people think that it's this great thing. So, and it's also a thing that then is unending, of this idea of an industry. Well, an industry, it's not a well-defined thing. It's a number of different things. It's not atomic. So, is it correct that something that is unending, built with, an institution of people, that sort of thing is not truth?
Well, it is one's vision, and how that vision lives in the individual himself, that is the truth, and the expression of that vision. the people who work there and what the company looks like to other people and what its stature is and how much money it makes, that isn't truth. It doesn't mean that it's wrong or right, but the truth lies in the devotion to the creation, not in the perception of the perception or the content or the infrastructure of how it turns out.
If that devotion becomes to the point where it's thought of as something that continues with this idea of it needs to grow without bound, does that then just become a chase of pleasure of some sort?
I think the more fundamental chase of pleasure is that you shouldn't be chasing pleasure. I think that's where you're stuck. You're trying to live up to the ideal of what is sincere and what is not. And that becomes a chase in itself.
One of the things, I've been able to notice is that, certain thoughts and certain voices in my head have been able to treat, as imposters. So it's a very, simple example. I used to struggle with overeating, but now, whenever those cravings or those thoughts to overeat or to, pick certain foods come, I instantly sort of recognize them, as a gate, and, without condemnation, I'm able to sort of, ignore them, just recognizing them as, they don't serve me. And I've been able to do that with certain other thoughts as well. When I have like an urge to scroll through, social media, recognizing it as just sort of meaningless. But then sort of there are other, thoughts, that I haven't been able to, successfully distance myself from, such as, self-doubt. And so for like, my question is that, I have a GMAT exam coming up, and I've quote unquote, like worked very hard for it. But I still feel, some amount of anxiety, perhaps because I've attached too much importance to the results of the exam, because it will determine, which college, which graduate program that I get into. So I was wondering if you could tell me, what the truth of this situation is.
Well, the truth of the situation is that you've bought into the idea of graduate programs having any meaning whatsoever, and that graduate programs are leading someone to success.
Hey, couple, just had a quick question. Can you work on getting more proximal to truth and reality, or is that sort of a mystery on its own?
No, there's no work towards it.
So
there's no effort.
But you can get closer to it then.
Of course, you can get closer to truth. But it is, somebody might, on the outside might view it as work. But if the individual themselves views it as, well, I must do this and I must do that, and I must do this, then it won't happen.
If it's not even an if, I believe that the title of the room is true. That work is a myth. It's something that I've pondered a lot, but what do we do about money?
I'm not telling you that you shouldn't work or that you should work. You view the title of the room as something that's trying to be impressed upon people as a concept for them to believe. The very fact that you ask the question, what about money, means that what you are asking is, fine, I will buy into the fact that the work is a myth, but if I let it go, what about money? Therefore, that poses a problem for you. And the problem, the fundamental problem is, you have viewed this idea or this thing as a concept that you should follow. And it isn't. Nothing for you to follow here.
I've been running up against this kind of analogous thing to when you talk about prescriptions. And for me, it feels a lot like it's like you're born and people start putting jackets on you. And throughout my whole life, it's like you just keep putting on more and more jackets. You don't even know you're wearing any of the jackets, but it's just like they pile on. And then one day you realize you're wearing one and you're like, well, this is insane. like, let me take this thing off. And so it's like I keep taking these jackets off one by one by one by one by one. And then it's like that feels like I'm getting somewhere. And then when I interface with the world or with people, it's like they're trying to shove the jacket back on. And I guess if I had a question, sometimes it's like I'm looking at a tabletop and I see a mouse run across it, and the mouse is sitting in the middle of the table. And I look at the mouse, and then I look at the person next to me and I say, do you see the mouse there? And they say, no, I don't see the mouse. And so it's like, I guess in the analogy, it's like I keep taking these jackets off and I keep seeing the mouse. But when I'm trying to get reality reflected back at me by interfacing with other people, it's like, for lack of a better, like I can't communicate. It's like I know what I'm seeing, I know what I think, but it's like when you find somebody else that you think will understand the thing that it is you're trying to communicate, they just can't comprehend it. And it's not a lack of like effective communication. It's just like I can't find anybody to interface with. I don't know if that makes any sense.
You will not. The more genuine and the more true one's desires, longings, or insights, the less people they will find. And the person who is seeking truth will never have a companion. They will never have someone they can talk to. You will always be alone. This is one of the hallmarks of an individual who seeks truth, and it is also one of the central reasons why no human being seeks it. Good night.